My name is Ivan Adolwa. I work with African Plant Nutrition Institute as a farming systems scientist. I'm also involved in the UCCP project, and I'm helping to coordinate Component 2, which is charged with improving coffee quality and yield through diversification. One of the main diversification strategies we are employing is apiculture, and I'm involved in trying to develop oil-free apiculture or apiculture oil-free. So in Component 2, APNI is working very closely with the Producers Direct, and we have profiled 50 apiculture oil-free farmers, and we have worked with these farmers, trained them on various aspects on apiculture oil-free, and we have realized that there are some various barriers to adoption of those apiculture oil-free practices. Key among them is a lack of proper knowledge on the best apiculture oil-free practices, and also issues to do with market incentives and other barriers to do with lack of incomes and so on. So those are some of the main barriers to apiculture oil-free adoption. However, we realize that science has a role, and the main purpose of oil-free is not to lead farmers or direct farmers on what they're supposed to do, but to be participants in farmers' processes. So farmers lead the way in terms of experimenting, in terms of innovating new practices, in terms of adapting innovations around apiculture and coffee management. So we'll be documenting some of these farmers' processes and working with farmers on the best ways to come up with the best innovation practices on apiculture and also on coffee management. So that, in a nutshell, would be the role of science in apiculture oil-free.
My name is Godfrey Taulia. I work with Makerere University as a lecturer in soil science and systems agronomy. What we've learned in the past 1 or so years about soil carbon is a bit too little for us to make a concrete conclusion around it. But we can talk about the process what we've picked up in the process. One thing that we've come to know is that farmers have learned a lot through experiential learning. They try out something, experiment with it, maybe make an error, share with other farmers their frustrations. They discuss those frustrations, and then in the process, possibly they adjust or fine-tune some things that they were doing, and then they repeat again. So through those cycles of trial, error, and the like, they generated a lot of knowledge which can be used by researchers to shorten the period for generating intensification practices and sustainability of these systems. Now, the one thing that is advantageous with that is that we have a lot of variability that we try to control on station, which farmers don't control. They embrace the variability. And as such, they come up with technologies which could be context-specific and relevant to their settings. So the key or take-home message that we've learned from here is that we could embrace the variability that farmers do, carry out more research on farm, and build on the farmer innovation process to generate those technologies that we wouldn't be able to do on station with very controlled conditions. And that's the take-home message that I would have from here.
So my name is Ngoni Chirinda. I am a professor at UM6P working on sustainable tropical agriculture. So sustainability to me is really about how do you create systems that can sustain themselves, right? That can continue. And if you think about it, right, one of the things that sometimes we ignore and which has been coming out from the farmers is really how do you finance sustainable practices? I remember one of the things talking to farmers, and they say, I was like, oh, your biggest challenge is soil fertility, your biggest challenge is this. And they say, no, my biggest challenge is actually markets, right? The markets, where do I sell the produce which I produce? And I guess in order to think about sustainable systems, we really need to start exploring financial innovations. Yes, we have a lot and several technical and innovations that we have worked on, but I think it's time to start thinking about how can we improve affordability. And if farmers can afford, then they can actually adopt the practices that we are putting on the table. So the way I look at it is we put a buffet of options in front of the farmers in terms of things that they can adopt. We now need to start asking ourselves the question, how do we make these options affordable to the farmer? And when they can afford these technologies, they can adopt them, and then we can start getting the environmental benefits that we are thinking about. So sustainability is really about how do you get economic, social and environmental benefits. And it really starts from a focus around the farmer, because the moment we don't focus on the farmer, they then react by maybe deforesting the land, or it's a way of survival for them. So we really need to start thinking, how can we make farmers thrive? And that for me is really about how do we innovate, not just technologically, but also policy innovations, also financial innovations, also innovations that make things become cheaper. And innovation is really a simple concept. It's really about better solutions. Thank you.